What would happen if you went out on stage for a concert and you didn't set off the fireworks and you didn't break up the guitar and you didn't have the smoke and the fire and the blood and all that, and you just came out and did your thing? Would they come to the concert?
It would still be a rip-roaring rock and roll show, because what we do when we go out there is we don't stand still when we play our instruments. We run around and pretty much raise hell. Can we say that on TV?
Yes, you can.
Well, we raise hell.
TV.
Kiss is an iconic American hard rock band from New York City, known for their face paint and stage outfits. The group rose to prominence in the mid-1970s with shock rock style live performances that featured fire-breathing, blood-spitting, smoking guitars, shooting rockets, levitating drum kits, and pyrotechnics. During their era, this band literally lived by the motto, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Kiss sold over 100 million albums worldwide and remains a symbol of showmanship, concluding their end of the road world tour in 2023 after a career spanning 5 decades. Now, one thing I have to point out that blew me away about Kiss was learning that they sold their music catalog, name, image, and likeness to the Swedish entertainment company Pop House Entertainment Group in April of 2024 for over 300 million. The deal grants Pop House the rights to the band's entire intellectual property, including their iconic makeup designs, with plans for new digital and immersive experiences using the entire Kiss brand. Man, that's crazy. But I had to point that out to let you understand that you can not only make money off your music, but also your look if you're not afraid to push the boundaries like those guys did. Now, you might be looking at me wondering why a hip-hop head is mentioning a 1970s American rock band by the name of Kiss. And this is why. The soundtrack of hip-hop is based off sampling. Hip-hop has sampled all kinds of music from many different genres like reggae, R&B, as well as rock and roll. And being a music producer slash a music enthusiast myself, I've always been interested in digging through the credits of an artist's music to see what the producers might be sampling. So I decided to put together a list of some of my favorite songs that sample from Kiss. But before I get into that, I gotta start off with this. In hip hop, there's an upper echelon of artists that are crowned as GOATs, greatest of all time, that can only be received after proving you're a real MC. One of them is Houston's very own, named Scarface. Scarface is most likely your favorite rapper's favorite rapper, and is often mentioned by other GOATs on their top 10 greatest of all time list because of the powerful lyrics that he's penned in his music. But did you know, before Scarface was a rapper or knew anything about hip hop, he loved rock and roll music and grew up around family members that played live instruments.
I grew up around musicians and writers, and I was always taught to write your heart, write your life. If you're not crying when the song's done, you ain't wrote the right record. You know what I mean? Like, you have to write your heart, and whoever was offended by it, fuck him.
And even played guitar himself and was in a band called High Energy in the 6th grade, and actually still plays guitar to this day. But as a kid, his favorite rock band was Kiss. He talks about it in his memoir, Diary of a Madman, and states he was 8 years old when Kiss released the Dynasty album, and he wanted it so bad that he cried for it until his mom got it for him. But he loved Kiss, and that was the band he wanted to be like the most. He loved their whole style with the paint and everything. They were his childhood idols. And that same year, they toured with that album, and he begged his parents to let him go, but they told him no. But 20 years later, he got to see them 3 times in LA and called his mom after and told her it was well worth the wait. I agree with Scarface. I myself got to see Kiss live in 2011 at the Houston Rodeo. My mom got tickets from her job and asked if I wanted to go, along with my siblings, and I was blown away by the live performance. They really know how to entertain. Now, watching Kiss live was never on my to-do list, but when my mom told me if I wanted to go, I definitely didn't turn it down. Of course, I knew about them and their music, and after watching the movie Detroit Rock City, which I have to add is a classic, I knew I couldn't miss that show. Thanks, Mom. Now let's get into these samples. In 2005, Rev Run dropped his album titled Distortion, and on that album he has a song called The Way that sampled a song from Kiss titled God of Thunder from their album Destroyer that released in 1976. In 2007, Joel Santana dropped his project titled Skull Gang, and on that album he has a song called The Answer that samples a song from Kiss titled Only You from their album Music from the Elder that released in 1981. In 2009, Young Buck dropped an album titled After the Unit. On that album he has a song called Rock and Roll that samples a song from Kiss titled Black Diamond from their debut album titled Kiss that released in 1974. So after doing my research and seeing all the songs that sample from Kiss, those were the top 3 songs that I really liked. But there's so many more, and if you would like to know more, you could dig through it, or you could let me know in the comments and I'll put something together. But this just goes to show, once again, when it comes to music overall, inspiration can come from anywhere. But what I love about hip hop is how we can sample from any other genre and make something dope out of it.